1 star 817 hash. Star 811 star 817 hash.
Good evening. Thank you for making us your channel of choice. This is KBC. You are in time for Sunday Express. It is the 4th day in the month of September 2022, a couple of hours to the Supreme Court ruling on the presidential petition. And we are bringing you unmatched coverage. But first, the highlights. Upholding William Ruto's win or going back to the ballots? Kenyans wait with bated breath for tomorrow's Supreme Court verdict. Looking back at the presidential election petition proceedings, here are lawyers who stood out from the crowd. Calling for calm, President-elect William Ruto says he will respect the Supreme Court verdict as Catholic bishops urge Kenyans to do the same. And the wrath of Mother Nature. Torrential rains displaced hundreds in Marigat town, Baringo South. Thank you for staying with us. Do interact with us on all our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1. My name is Irene Muchuma Odim. On sign language interpretation, we have Lancer Odingo. The Supreme Court is expected to either dismiss the whole consolidated petition, allow the prayers to sort for a recount, or order for a president election rerun. And as Serafina Ruby reports, the judgment to be delivered will rely on the majority decision from the 7-judge bench that are quorate to render a judgment. This as the National Police Service has announced the closure of several roads in the city Monday. In a statement, Nairobi Area Traffic Commander Vitalis Otieno directed that Ngong Road will be closed at the Ngong Road 1st Avenue opposite NHIF building.
In relation to Article 140 of the Kenyan Constitution, the 7-judge bench of the Supreme Court is required to render judgment within 14 days from the day of the filing of the presidential petition. Unlike the 2016 presidential election petition that had 6 judges, the 2022 presidential election petition is to be determined by a 7-judge bench.
All the 7 judges are expected to participate. Remember, in the last season, we only had 6 judges participating. This time round, we expect all of them to be present.
The petition hearing was done within 3 days, allowing for all parties involved to make their submissions. The petition, which had 7 consolidated petitions, key among them being one filed by presidential candidate Raila Odinga and his running mate Martha Karua, sought to have the court nullify the declared results on the 15th of August, declare them president and deputy president-elect, respectively, or order for a recount of the votes and, if not, a rerun. The respondents, who include 4 dissenting commissioners, included Juliana Cherera, Irene Masit, Justice Nyangaya, and Francis Wanderi, the IEBC, the chair Wafula Chebukati, as well as William Ruto and his running mate Rigathi Gachagua. The Attorney General was also included as an interested party, with only 3 parties allowed as amicus curiae, and those included the LSK, ICJ Kenya, and 3 ICT offices represented by lawyer Charles Kanjama. The 7-judge bench is now expected to render its judgment by midnight of Monday, the 5th of September 2022, with 3 possible scenarios expected as outcome. The Apex Court is expected to either dismiss the whole petition and uphold and declare results, or allow the prior suit for recount or a rerun. Now, the big question will be answered in a judgment expected to be delivered on Monday by the 7-judge bench. Serafina Robi for Prime Edition.
The 3-day Supreme Court's battle to determine the legality of the presidential election results declared by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Chairman Wafula Chebukati saw top lawyers in the country battle it out in the election petition filed by Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance presidential candidate Raila Odinga and his running mate Martha Karua. Senior counsels James Orengo, Paul Mwite, Paul Mwangi and Otende Amolo, representing the petitioners, asked the Supreme Court judges to invalidate the election of President-elect Dr. William Ruto, arguing no candidate garnered 50+1% of the vote as stipulated by the Constitution for a presidential election win. On the other hand, senior counsels Professor Githu Muigai, Professor Kindiki Kithure, Fred Ngatia and Kamau Karori, representing respondents, urging the Supreme Court to dismiss the presidential petition, terming it fictional as it lacked proof to demonstrate the election that was bungled. Ben Chumba takes us through the arguments.
On the first day of the Supreme Court hearing, lawyers representing the first petitioner Raila Odinga took to the floor to dislodge the election of Dr. William Ruto as the president-elect. The first submission coming from senior counsel James Orengo.
There was a systematic deduction of the votes cast for the first petitioner, and the same number of votes that were deducted from the petitioner were added to the votes of the second respondent.
Allocated 3 hours to make their oral submissions, lawyers representing Raila Odinga and Martha Karua told the Supreme Court judges that the presidential election results should be nullified, as no candidate garnered 50+1% of the vote as stipulated by the Constitution for a presidential election win.
We were told the foreigners left before the 8th of August. We were told they did not even have access to maintain the server. This is on the 9th of August, and at the top left-hand corner there is the name of one of the Venezuelans, Jose Camargo. This is the person who decided the president-elect of the country. This person is the one who was interfering with the forms.
Mr. Chebukati, doing these duties and not doing these duties as part of the commission, but by himself.
Then I implore this court to use the same reasoning and tell the chairman in the same voice that it has told the national executive that your power to declare does not give you any power to decide on what you declare.
Petitioner John Joroge Kamau was the second petitioner to challenge Dr. William Ruto's win during the August general election. Represented by lawyer Zerabanu Jan Mohammed, Kamau asked the Supreme Court to nullify the election on grounds that the Kenyan voter was largely disenfranchised and that the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission acted unconstitutionally.
The court's hands are not shackled by procedural niceties. Please, Madam Chief Justice and honorable judges of this court, bite and bite for the glory of this court.
Lawyer Paul Nyamodi, representing the third petitioner Youth Advocacy Africa, informed the Supreme Court judges that IBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati created a non-existent position of returning officer in the commission to give himself exclusive powers.
Those two regulations are inconsistent with the provisions of Article 138(3)(c) of the Constitution, because they enable the result in the presidential election to be verified and tallied in a manner other than envisaged by the Constitution.
Appearing for the fourth petitioners, Khalif Khalifa, Jojo Sowe, Ruth Mumbi, and Grace Kamau, lawyer Willis Otieno urged the Apex Court to invalidate the election of President-elect William Ruto, since IBC Chair Wafula Chebukati erred in excluding the other four commissioners.
At the end of the day, when you leave, are you able to answer the constitutional threshold, the question, is that system of technology simple, verifiable, and accurate? Why the many explanations? Why the kizungu mingi?
Also challenging the presidential election results is petitioner David Kariuki Ngari, who claimed that the results declared by IBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati on August 15 did not reflect the will of Kenyans.
We know that it's only elders where elections were taking place.
Another petitioner, Busia Senator-elect Okiya Omtata, urged that there were numerous mathematical errors in the presidential tally and that 140,138 votes were untallied.
No candidate acquires 50% plus one vote. You get that William Ruto gets 49.99692402%. So Raila gets 48.372118662.
The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, dissenting four commissioners, poked holes on the presidential results released on 15th August by the commission's chairperson Wafula Chebukati. Lawyers Paul Muite and Issa Mansour, representing IBC Vice Chairperson Juliana Cherera, Justus Nyang'aya, Francis Wanderi, and Irene Masit, claimed Chebukati excluded four commissioners in the constitutional process, only assigning them protocol roles.
Under the Constitution, and in fact under the statute, the IEBC is a corporate entity. Therefore, in the absence of consensus, its decisions as an institution are by the majority.
The 27 constituencies that had not been announced, had not been publicly confirmed to have been verified.
The second day of the Supreme Court hearing saw the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Chairman Wafula Chebukati, two commissioners Molu Boya, Professor Abdi Gulie, and Chief Executive Officer Hussein Marjan disregarding affidavits by four dissenting commissioners.
It will be absurd to say that the only elections, the only verification that is acceptable under the law is verification by the commissioners. What then would we make of the elections at the counties and the tallying and verification at the counties and the tallying and verification at the constituencies where no commissioner is present?
There is something very wrong in the way the persons who participate in the electoral process accept winning or losing. That's the problem.
On the same day, President-elect William Ruto's defense team, led by senior counsel Fred Ngatia, urged the Supreme Court judges to dismiss the presidential petition, terming it fictional.
Show us one Form 34A in the public portal, because that is where ultimately it landed, which differs with the hard copy at the polling station. Show us only one. Or show us a ballot box that people from outer space came, voted into, stuffed into it, and then all this hijacking in midair took place. There's no such evidence.
In our humble and respectful view, Chief Justice, my lords, my ladies, the events of that day are basically an attempted but failed coup d'etat.
On his part, Attorney General Kihara Kariuki, through his lawyer George Oraro, while making his submissions, told the Supreme Court that the visit by members of the National Security Council to the IBC was not to intimidate the commissioners.
He was sending a team to go and visit him and discuss the issue of security. That notwithstanding, the chairman pretends that this was an issue which he only came to know when he was informed by Professor Gulie.
The 3-day hearing at the Supreme Court came to a close on Friday, with lawyers representing Raila Odinga and other petitioners clashing with those of the IEBC during oral submissions based on a 178-page report by the Registrar of the Supreme Court on the ICT scrutiny, inspection, tallying and recount.
At the material time, foreigners, including Ogodino, Vito, J. Carmago, Josio were operating the system.
Compare the logs Mr. Mugo has provided and what is found in the registrar. You will discover there is an apparent discrepancy on the face of those logs. Nothing put on the slideshow is in the registrar's report.
Ben Chumba, Sunday Express.
All right, after hearing the Raila Odinga and Martha Karua presidential petition for 3 days from Wednesday to Friday, the 7-judge bench of the Supreme Court retired to draw a verdict based on 9 key issues raised from the consolidated petition. Here is a summary of what the bench will rely on in making a determination on the petition.
Eyes will be focused on the Chief Justice Martha Koome-led 7-judge bench on Monday for the much-awaited verdict on the disputed presidential election.
We will deliver our judgment on Monday the 5th, but we'll give you notice indicating the exact time when that will be done. It will definitely be on Monday.
The bench is expected to make a determination on whether to annul or affirm the election of President-elect William Ruto as head of state based on 9 issues singled out by the court. Among them is whether there was interference with uploading and transmission of Form 34A from polling stations to the IEBC public portal, and whether the declared president-elect attained 50% plus 1 vote of the vote cast in accordance with Article 138, subsection 4 of the Constitution. The judges will attempt to establish whether the IEBC website was compromised and if there was any interference with the transmission of results forms.
We came across ballot boxes that did not have original or carbon copies of Form 34As. Your leadership, the effect of that is that the authenticity of the forms appearing in the public portal is then called to question. We searched between August, the entire month of May to August, for any deletion, removal, there was none. Then they searched for the entire August, whether those users accessed. The answer was none. I will adopt this report in entirety, see for maybe a few comments I would have, but that's bickering over the minute time, my lord.
Thank you very much. They will also seek to clarify if the August presidential election met the standards of integrity, verifiability, security and transparency as required by law. The parties in the petition also made arguments and presentations in the scrutiny report ordered by the court on access of IEBC servers, as well as a recount of 41 ballot boxes from 15 polling stations. The session also gave parties a chance to answer questions that had been previously asked by the judges, as well as those that were asked as a follow-up to some of the presentations and arguments made by the parties on Friday.
Let us not worry too much about written reports, who has served who. You're letting the court know what you think of the exercise so that we can take those submissions into consideration, and that should apply to all the other parties.
The court will deliver a judgment on Monday as required by law, which is within 14 days since filing of the presidential petition.
We thank you most sincerely for all the time and effort that you have put, and your patience, and putting up with some of our not very honorable conduct. We apologize for that, and we wish you good deliberations. Thank you.
For Sunday Express, I'm Ben Troy Njue.
The past few days have been a theatre of an unprecedented presidential election dispute brought before the apex court that Chief Justice Martha Koome leads, with the country's top legal minds laying bare the law in various petitions challenging the outcome of the August 9th presidential election. Upcoming lawyers were also fronted to sharpen their legal darts amongst the high-profile legal minds. The three-day proceedings would see at least little-known lawyers such as Julie Soweto, Mahat Somane, and Willis Oteno, who somehow stole the show from the senior counsels. Take a look.
And my lords, the first complaint and the
At least 88 lawyers represented parties involved in the 7th consolidated presidential petitions at the Supreme Court. The main protagonist in the 3rd presidential petition since the promulgation of the 2010 Constitution were Azimio la Umoja One Kenya presidential candidate Raila Odinga, President-elect William Ruto, and the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. The Attorney General was also named as a defendant.
So the sanctimonious, self-righteous, pompous pontification of the so-called 4 commissioners are an afterthought.
Representing the parties, they came armed with legal jargon, documents, election rigging claims, defense strategies, among others, making some stand out, with some appearing before the Supreme Court for the first time.
He called both of them, and he was the only person who knew who the disco would land on. It could have been either of them. It could have been William Ruto, it could have been Raila Odinga. It fell on William Ruto and he says, voila, you are the president. Is that how we intend to choose our national executive? We've reduced it to Mimi's childhood game of picky, ponky, pacamielo.
Counsel again.
Yes, my lord.
I did give you brotherly advice. Be careful. That language appears to be alien to this court.
Declined and dishonored this court's order to give us information on the results transmission system.
And one of the ways it protects the sovereignty of the people is to ensure that the will of the people in electing their representatives reflects what the people have voted it to be.
Article 89, clause 1. It says there shall be 290 constituencies in the Republic of Kenya. And that is where the law contemplates that elections shall take place. But what happened on 9th of August is that we have submissions and averments that elections took place in 291 constituencies. The fundamental questions, my ladies, my lord, is where did this extra constituency come from?
I will take you back to the registrar's report, whereby they searched between August, the entire month of May to August, for any deletion, removal, there was none. Then they searched for the entire August, whether those users accessed. The answer was none. I will adopt this report in entirety.
Every ballot that was counted, it tallies with what was given to each of the candidates. But most importantly, the allegation the petitioners have made and have been running around with is that election results were being taken from one candidate and being added to another. That fact was not proven. This is their case.
Where it is established that a state officer is subverting the Constitution and the rule of law, the court's hands are not shackled by procedural niceties. Please, Madam Chief Justice and honorable judges of this court, bite and bite for the glory of this court.
Each polling station had its own unique kimskit, and as we have shown, the 11,000 polling stations that we had complained were staged were transmitted all from one IP address.
At the end of the day, after you clear through the fog, what were the issues that the chairman was being accused of? They do not meet the standards, I pray, that would be required for us to overturn the presidential elections in the general election of 2022 and send 14 million plus Kenyan voters back to the vote and spend immeasurable amounts in treasure.
Lawyer Mahat Somane stood out as a guru in ICT.
The document relating to Jose Camargo has come from the QR register, which is distributed to every polling station. Apio took an original Form 34A. He had the QR register and he took a picture of it.
But one Willis Otieno was the man of the day, or would we say days, with his witty phrases and analogies. Remember the plumber in the bathroom?
Once a plumber has fixed your bathroom, that plumber has no business being in your bathroom when you are showering. If you find him at that time, you tell him, "Get behind me, Satan," as was said in the book of Mark 8:33.
Reporting for Sunday Express, I'm Jackie Wambiru.
Thank you, Wambiru. Balanced coverage coming to you right here from KBC Channel 1 on our social media platforms. Mixed reactions ahead of the Supreme Court ruling Monday. We're taking a short break. We'll be back with more news on the other side. Stay with us.
How do you find your grandmother? How much do you love her? Come on, you have to trust me.
What's going on, Madam Warden? Please tell me, am I being set free now?
I want to talk to her and hear from her what happened on the day my father died.
But who really are you, Mother? The unfaithful woman who left me to run off with another man like what my dad had said?
Don't start jumping to conclusions.
And why not? Huh?
No, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back.
Songea tukupashe na zile ambavyo vitakupa tabasamu tosha.
Hana mapenzi wala mahaba, mtoto mbaya sana huyu. What did you just say?
Sio tamthilia tu.
And why you're saying that
Ni tamthilia tosha.
Alinishika hivi. What?
Sio burudani tu, ni burudani tosha.
It is the day that the Lord has made.
Na sinema bomba.
Kabisa kama uelewi kitu inafaa uelewe.
Na mada za kusisimua. KBC Channel 1, shirika la utangazaji Kenya.
He's lived a tragic life. All these years, he's always been on his own.
Let's pretend this never happened. But even though I fixed her eyes, she can't handle brightness.
Master, I'm finally back to see you. So, you know, all these years without my blood, why hasn't his body even changed a bit?
I don't expect anything from you. I just want you to have a happy life.
Thank you for staying with us. You're watching the Sunday Express. Now, this is a big one. At every election cycle, the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission, IEBC, has found itself in a credibility crisis, perceived or real, in its management of the presidential election. In the last 3 general elections, this crisis has ultimately ended up before the Supreme Court judges. Richard Bunga takes us through the roller coaster of presidential petitions and how, on the flip side, the cases have sought to strengthen the electoral rules and processes.
Presidential election petition, a staple in every general election in Kenya. Following the promulgation of the current constitution in 2010, the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission, IEBC, was founded in 2011 with the mandate of independently conducting and supervising any referendum and election to any elective office or position established under the constitution. Since IEBC started overseeing elections in 2013, the country has witnessed 3 presidential election petitions arising from the 3 general elections held so far. let's take a trip down memory lane. It is late 2011. President Moi Kibaki appoints Ahmed Isaac Hassan to head the IBC.
Having been appointed the chairperson.
Alongside him, Kibaki appointed other commissioners: Yusuf Abdurrahman Nzibo, Muhammad Alawi Hussein, Abdullahi Sharawe, Lilian Mahiri Zaja, Thomas Letangule, Joyce Muthoni Wangai, Albert Kasmus Buire, and Kule Galma Godana to be members of the IBC. Ezra Chiloba was to serve on the commission as the CEO. The president also appointed Dr. Regina Gathoni Mwata and Saadi Abdikadir Mohammed to be members of the Commission on Administrative Justice. It was this team that oversaw the 2013 general election. The outcome: Uhuru Kenyatta won the presidency, garnering 6,173,433 votes out of 12,333,667 in the March 4th general election, which is 50.03% of the votes cast. His closest competitor, Raila Odinga, would garner 5,340,546 votes, which represented 43.28% of the vote. The second outcome, however, would see Odinga head to the Supreme Court of Kenya to seek legal redress. The first petition contested the inclusion of rejected votes in the final tally, arguing that it had a distorting effect on the percentage votes won by each candidate. The second petition contested the manner in which the electoral process was conducted by the Electoral Management Body, while the third one challenged the legality of the Electoral Management Body's declaration of Uhuru Kenyatta as president-elect. It was argued that the presidential electoral process was so fundamentally flawed that it was impossible to ascertain whether the presidential results as declared were lawful. However, after the hearings, the court unanimously upheld the election of Uhuru Kenyatta as president and William Ruto as deputy president. The position of the Supreme Court of Kenya with regard to the treatment of the rejected votes in this situation was one that excludes the rejected votes in computing the overall election outcome. In their view, a rejected vote is a vote which is void, a vote that accords no advantage to any candidate. It cannot be used in the computation of determining the threshold of 50% plus 1. The fallout from the 2013 general election would see the Isaac Hassan-led commission leave office, occasioned by days of street protests from Odinga's supporters, leading to the composition of a new commission. President Uhuru Kenyatta would appoint Wanyonyi Wafula Chebukati as the new IBC chair. He was appointed alongside 6 other commissioners, namely Vice Chair Consolata Nkatha, Roselyn Akombe, Paul Kibiwot Kurgat, Abdi Gulie, Margaret Mochana, and Boya Molu. Months later, the newly constituted commission would oversee the 2017 general election. Incumbent Uhuru Kenyatta would win a second term in office, garnering 8,223,369 votes compared to Raila Odinga's 6,822,812 votes. The Supreme Court would once again find itself in the spotlight after Odinga rejected the result, returning to the Supreme Court for legal redress. His lawyers had several issues, claiming the conduct of the 2017 presidential election violated the principles of a free and fair election, as well as the electoral process as set out in the Constitution, electoral laws and regulations, and that the respondent IBC committed errors in voting, counting, and tabulation of results. In summary, when annulling the results of the 2017 presidential election by a majority of 42, the Supreme Court judges held that there were systemic and systematic irregularities and illegalities that prevented the election from standing. As a result of the foregoing, IBC conducted a fresh election on October 26, 2017, whereupon the ruling party's candidate Uhuru Kenyatta was declared president. The aftermath of the election wouldn't be any better compared to the previous, with weeks of protest by the Odinga-led National Super Alliance coalition calling for the removal of Chebukati as the IBC chair. He did not budge. However, Commissioner Roselyn Akombe was the first to leave office. In April 2018, Chebukati suspended CEO Ezra Chiloba over what he termed as gross misconduct at the commission, a suspension that would eventually lead to Chiloba getting fired. The development would see more changes at the commission as 3 commissioners, namely Vice Chair Consolata Nkatha, Paul Kurgat and Margaret Mochana, resigned. This would leave the commission with a lack of quorum. In 2021, at a time when political campaign mood ahead of the 2022 general election was picking up, Chebukati and IEBC would get a boost as President Kenyatta nominated and appointed 4 new commissioners, namely Juliana Cherera, Francis Mathenge Wanderi, Irene Masit and Justus Ebonyo, after they were cleared by the National Assembly. The commission geared up, ready to redeem itself after a tough run in the last 2 elections. This time around, Deputy President William Ruto would be running on a UDA ticket backed by the Kenya Kwanza Alliance against Raila Odinga of the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition party. Hours before the president-elect was due to be announced, chaos ensued at the National Tallying Centre in Bomas of Kenya as the Azimio candidate camp protested, arguing that the planned announcement was premature. Already 4 of the commissioners had left in a half to address the media from the Serena Hotel, distancing themselves from the declaration the IEBC chair was about to make. After the scuffle at Bomas, Chebukati emerged and announced UDA presidential candidate William Ruto as the president-elect and Rigathi Gachagua the deputy president-elect. This would subsequently see Azimio la Umoja reject the result and a few days later heading to the Supreme Court to seek the indulgence of the Apex Court. Once again, petitioners' lawyers pointed their guns at the IEBC and Chairman Wafula Chebukati.
Tallying was carried out by the chairman alone. At best, the chairman, Professor Gulie, and Mr. Marjan. A quick look at Section 5.1 of the IEBC Act would disclose that those 3 gentlemen, however eminent, are not the IEBC.
Want the court to notice that 138(3)(c) is a responsibility on the commission, not on the chairman. So the first declaration of the result of the verified and the tallied counts is made by IEBC as a commission. I urge my lords and my ladies, the problems of IEBC and specifically the second respondent are systemic, as I've said. The court should consider the conduct of this second respondent, Wafula Chebukati. The common constant, they were the only commissioners who were in the 2017 general elections. They are the only commissioners who procured the elections technology. And they are the only commissioners again today who are dissenting. They are the minority commissioners who are trying to countermand a decision of the commission.
And on September 2nd, the court hearings came to an end.
We will deliver our judgment on Monday the 5th, but we'll give you notice indicating the exact time when that will be done. It will definitely be on Monday.
Very interesting item there by Richard Munga. Now, the presidential petition proceedings at the Supreme Court literally gave every Kenyan a moment or two to update their vocabulary collection with court jargon and quotes flying left, right, and center, from constitutional matters to philosophy, and a free show of prowess by the learned friends. Anyone keen on learning had a field day. New phrases, quotes, and technical words were all up for grabs. Now, let's look back at some of these quotes that brought some light moments in an otherwise serious situation.
Impunity must be punished. Impunity must be punished. And impunity unpunished breeds arrogance. And arrogance leads to arbitrary exercise of power.
Where it is established that a state officer is subverting the Constitution and the rule of law, the court's hands are not shackled by procedural niceties. This is the beauty of this Wanjico Constitution that we have.
Once a plumber has fixed your bathroom, that plumber has no business being in your bathroom when you are showering. If you find him at that time, you tell him, get behind me, Satan.
Men and women who run for office in this country must accept that it is possible to win. Indeed, it is even more likely to lose, because typically an election involves more than two people, and the chances of the losers being more than the winner are very high.
Reality is that it is voters who make their choice. And once voters have made their choice, let us inculcate a culture that my brothers and sisters on this side are now used to. We walk to our court, we may think the law is on our side, we may think we are entitled to victory, but we accept the verdict of the court because much as we may think we are eloquent litigators, the final word is always with the court.
The sanctimonious, self-righteous, pompous pontification of the so-called four commissioners are an afterthought. They are a complete and total afterthought. And should be seen as that.
While in most cases, any proceedings at the court of law might be a dilemma to the layman owing to the legal jargon, this week's presidential petition at the Supreme Court was exceptional. The sophisticated terminologies by both the junior and senior counsel, as former Attorney General Githu Muigai would address his colleagues, left many social media warriors awe-stricken. Here now is Teresa Mutai with that moment that left netizens fighting and gasping for space in the learned world.
The Supreme Court undertook serious business this week, but even within the seriousness, netizens still found a way of turning the dull moment bright. Let's take a look. An impressive Supreme Court session characterized by quotes, terminologies and metaphors that left keyboard warriors for once rethink about their self-imposed title, the Keyboard Warriors. And whoever can type, let them type.
So the sanctimonious, self-righteous, pompous pontification.
What are you saying? What is he saying?
I am tweeted. Now these Supreme Court proceedings will school many. Sasa amicus curiae ni mnyama gani? John the Baptist, yani hamjui lakuna ni nini but mmenyamaza na mko sawa. Ha, laughing emoji. With the great battle came the great humor. Now we might want to further interrogate George Oraro's statement about Marjan Hussein, who walked into what exactly? Bedroom or boardroom, sir?
Walked into the bedroom. Boardroom. Bedroom.
But while we still dwell on the topic of walking into bedrooms and bathrooms, the Plumbers Association may have been caught in the crossfire during the Supreme Court proceeding. Lawyer Willis Otieno, who has surely gained traction this week with these witty remarks, had one more remarkable comment up his sleeve.
A plumber who is in your bathroom when you're showering after fixing your shower is no longer a plumber, is a sexual offender.
Lamek tweeted, Otieno yawa, finish them. Nick is just wondering, huyu Willis Otieno hutoa points zake sangapi? Karamindi, never a dull moment in this country. Willis Otieno, whom I should probably term as a content creator at this point, had a one-on-one with Justice Linaola when he thanked Justice Wanjala for not responding to his remarks.
Thank Justice Wanjala today. He didn't respond when I did my monk. Can I donate my time back to the court? Thank you.
You also did not sweat, so we are okay.
Maish tweeted, siwezi ambiwa hivyo. Sisebo, si poa. The glorious, it's a court of fun. The proceeding was not without love and care for a friend from the neighborhood. Professor Githu Muigai may have stepped in for his learned friend Orengo, saying he needs his lunch for he is heckling.
My learned friend, Mr. Orengo, needs his lunch now. He's heckling.
Samuel tweeted, the relationship between Professor Githu and Orengo is mesmerizing. Martin, Professor never disappoints. Fishware, apewe soda na mkate.
Chai! Chai!
But as we await the court's final verdict this Monday, let's sit and enjoy Willis Otieno's Piki Piki Ponki episode, which has lit wildfires on the social media realm.
Piki Piki Ponki, Piki Piki Ponki,
Well, that's it for us. Reporting for Sunday Express, I am Teresa Mutai.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124.
Hello there. Good boys gone bad. Eric Omondi has evolved from being a comedian to now being the king clout chaser. How does a gospel artist make money? Jaguar wept again.
As a celeb, as a followers, but it's a time for artists to make bank.
Yes. How is your relationship with Zari, considering that she dates young?
These are accessories.
They do not make slap the guy.
Yo, what's up? My name is Ted Josiah.
Mashallah.
You sing about serious issues, it will not trend. If you sing about Adhiambo C.
No.
Bahati hata kuwa na machozi. Willy Paul ndio alikuwa anatoa machozi.
For your beat these boys with stones. Let's all be logic. Yesu washukangi chini analeta pesa.
Musicians are missing the point.
Do we sip water?
You are watching Pop Culture with Adhiambo with a Y.
Aya, ile mshtuko nikashindwa, watu wamekata usingo.
Kwa nini analeta mimi shule? I want us to cooperate together.
Cooperation ni ile ya serikali.
Sio hiyo unamaanisha.
Mimi ndio mwalimu ama ni wewe?
Changanya mimi Monday, Jumatatu na Tem. Tofauti na gani?
Hii ni hot towel mate tulijifundishwa. Hiyo nani alikwambia ndio hot towel?
Thank you for staying with us. You're watching this Sunday Express. Now, President-elect William Ruto has assured that he will respect the Supreme Court verdict on the presidential petition challenging his win. Speaking on Sunday during the interdenominational church service at Lamrodiak High School grounds in Njoro, Nakuru County, the Deputy President also urged Kenyans across the country to respect the outcome of the ruling and maintain peace.
President-elect William Ruto and other leaders of Kenya Kwanza had on Sunday graced an interdenominational church service at Lamrodiak High School grounds. Ruto noting that every Kenyan, regardless of their status, has to respect the rule of law if the country is to move forward.
Hakuna njia ingine ya kupeleka Kenya mbele. Hakuna njia ingine ya kuleta heshima na maendeleo katika taifa letu la Kenya. Ni kila mtu afuate sheria. Na hiyo kufuata sheria itaanza na mimi na wale wote. Ndio kila mtu ajue ya kwamba kuna sheria katika taifa letu la Kenya, na hiyo sheria ndio inaleta usawa.
The president-elect assured that he will respect the decision of the seven-judge bench, who on Friday retreated to write a ruling on the presidential petition that was before it, saying Kenya is guided by the rule of law.
Mahakama ya upeo itatoa uamuzi wake. Kwa sababu sisi ni nchi ya kufuata sheria, pia tutaheshimu uamuzi wa mahakama ya upeo. Hivyo ndivyo tutakavyokuwa na nchi ambayo itakuwa ni nchi ya Wakenya wote. Na hakuna Mkenya mkubwa na mdogo. Wakenya wote ni kiwango kimoja chini ya sheria na katiba yetu ya Kenya.
Ruto also commended Kenyans for maintaining peace after the 9th of August general elections.
Sisi wote kama wakaaji hasa wa bonde hii la Ufa Tunashukuru Mungu sana kwa sababu watu wengi katika taifa letu la Kenya walikuwa wanataka kujua ni nini itafanyika katika bonde hii la Ufa, kwa sababu manabii wa uongo walikuwa wengi. Lakini kwa sababu tunamwabudu Mungu aliye hai, bonde la Ufa iko na amani na Kenya iko na amani.
Leaders who accompanied him expressed gratitude to the people of Nakuru for believing and voting for Kenya Kwanza leaders.
Tulikuwa hapa Njolo na tukakuwa na mazungumzo marefu na hawa wakaaji, na tukawaomba kwa heshima wakupatie kura na utakuja kuwafanyia kazi. Watu ya Njoro, ningetaka nichukue nafasi hii kusema asante sana, asanteni sana.
Wametushikilia, tumefika hapa. What now they expect from us is service delivery. Wanataka tuwafanyie kazi.
Kuna pahali ingine Kenya or any other election ya kwamba watu watauza ukabila ndio wapate kura, na watu wa Njoro ndio mumefunza sisi viongozi ya kwamba mtu anaweza uza sera, mununue sera bila kuangalia kabila.
The Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops is pleading with the political class to refrain from inciting the country into violence and accept the Supreme Court verdict that is set to be delivered tomorrow. KCCB Chair Archbishop Martin Kivuva is calling on Kenyans to pray for the 7-bench judge as they make the long-awaited judgment that will either uphold or dismiss the election of William Ruto.
The other commissioners to do.
As the country anxiously awaits the fate of the presidential election petition, whose verdict will be delivered on Monday, the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops is confident that Kenyans will exercise democratic maturity, however the court rules.
Kuna tetezi eti kwamba sehemu fulani zitakuwa na ni hotspot. I want to challenge ourselves again. Tuseme that is not true, it is not you. Na kukwambia ukiulizwa na mtu leo utatupa jiwe, asamia tutupela nini? Na ni Kenya yetu naendelea kujenga.
KCCB wants the political class to exercise decorum, maintain sobriety and accept the outcome of the ruling and refrain from inciting Kenyans to violence.
It's a very important moment. Don't be persuaded by any political or any group at all kuingia makundi ya kuleta hali ya upotovu wa amani nchi yetu. Tuweze kuendelea, watoto wasome, tupate mishahara.
KCCB Chairperson Martin Kivuva is calling on the country to support the judiciary through prayers for the 7-bench judge so that they may exercise discernment as they make the ruling.
Tukae kando siku ya leo na ya kesho, tukifanya kazi na huku tukitenga masaa rasmi ya kuombea busara ya hawa majaji wetu. It's not a small matter.
Kivuva has further lauded tolerance displayed by Kenyans throughout the electioneering period. He has, however, reiterated the need to stay in that path as the country awaits the Supreme Court ruling.
If we mess it up, we have many examples around us who have messed their democracy, who have messed up their democracy in such a way that their countries have become a difficult place to live in.
Speaking at the Holy Cathedral in Mombasa, Kivuva, however, condemned the unorthodox means employed by some IEBC officials in the just concluded general polls as exposed during the hearing. Kivuva has urged the electoral body to stand for truth as they dispense their duties.
Even when somebody will try to bribe you, when somebody wants to dissuade you doing the truth, it is your responsibility to internally say, sorry, no, I'm not going to do it. Stand for the truth like Christ did.
Juni Karisambele from Mombasa County.
Thank you, Janae. On a sad note, over 50 families and traders have been affected following heavy rains experienced Saturday evening in Marigat Town, Baringo South. Property of unknown value was destroyed, with families forced to spend the night in the cold. Baringo County government has, in the meantime, formed a team to come up with a report and measures to avert further losses in future.
This is the aftermath of the heavy downpour that pounded Marigat Town in Baringo South Saturday evening. The rain that was characterized with strong winds, leaving behind a trail of destruction. Strong winds blew off rooftops of residential houses in Mlimani, Kivumbini and Budalangi areas. Families here have been left counting losses, even as they try to salvage whatever they can from their houses after spending the night in the cold. Businesses were not spared either.
Ona sasa kila kitu inaanza kubebwa, paka nyanya, mtoto alikuwa analala chini, tukakimbia tukaokoa mtoto. Mtoto akabaki, lakini kila kitu ya huyo mama ilienda, manguo, pesa, tukabaki vile tulivyo. Fika manyumbani naye, nyumba imeenda. Hakuna chochote kile tumebaki nacho. Kama mimi nakuanga cha lady ya group, pesa ilienda, kitabu ilienda, nimebaki vile nilivyo. Hata kiatu nimeenda kununua saa hii kwa duka.
The locals who said such heavy rains have not been experienced before in the town are now blaming climate change, poor drainage system and planning of the town for their predicament.
Ilibeba vitu mingi ya watu. Naye maji karibu watoto wakufa hata. Tuliokoa kwa nini? Tuliokoa na wenye wajirani waliokoa watoto, especially watoto yangu mimi. Waliniogolea watoto.
Kama mimi nikaenda nikaomba majirani mahali pa kulala. So kutoka mpaka saa hii hatuna venye tunaanza. Tukaanza la 7, hatuna vile tutanunua mabati zingine, sijui tutafanya nini.
While assessing the extent of the damage caused by the floods, Baringo Deputy Governor Charles Kipngok said that a team had been put up to look into the matter and help come up with a long-lasting solution.
Tumekuwa na engineers hapa na tukakubaliana kwamba hatua ya haraka ichukuliwe katika kufungua mitaro na culverts ambayo inaweza kuaccommodate haya maji yakitoka pale mlimani.
Tukubaliane serikali iweze kutuongoza na kutusaidia kwa kupanga plots zetu za town na kupanga mambo yetu ya drainage.
Nancy Okware, Sunday Express.
Let's play. Time for Channel 1 Sports News. Mount Kenya Region Football defending champions All Bolosat from Nyandarua defended their 2019 trophy after they beat Nyeri's Kagonye 1-0 in the final of the high school games played in Thika. All Bolosat also won the girls soccer final by beating Kiambu side Kinale 1-0.
All Bolosat's soccer team won the boys and girls soccer finals on the last day of the Mount Kenya Region High School Games played in Thika. All Bolosat boys beat Kagonye from Nyeri 1-0. The match ended in a barren draw in normal time before extra time was played, with Anthony Jesse scoring the winner in the 98th minute. Both teams were struggling after playing several games on Saturday. All Bolosat's coach Dan Musomba said that his team had played in the national school games 4 times in a row and also represented the East African region in 2018.
Tumeshinda, tumequalify kwenda nationals na haijakuwa kibarua rahisi. Kwenye tulianzia huko Nyandarua na mvua ikatusumbua sana, lakini tukangangana, vijana wakapigana tukiwa na mwalimu mkuu na assistant coach wangu, tumesaidiana sana kufikia hapa. Pia vijana nao wamejituma, tukiwa tu na mashida zenye tulikuwa nazo juu wachezaji wengi walikaa kama waliachana mambo ya mpira kutokana na ugonjwa wa COVID.
In the girls' final, Nyandarua was All Bolosat won the trophy for the first time by beating Kiambu's Kinale 1-0 through an Emily Andai's goal in the 72nd minute. In the boys' handball final, Mangu High School defended their title by beating Nyandarua's Wangui School 2017.
I'm very hopeful that these games have rejuvenated talents for our young ones. We have been out for several years from the time there was COVID-19, and we have moved so well.
In the girls category, Nyathuna from Kiambu overcame Moranga's Muthithi School 24-7. And in basketball, Pioneer beat Nyeri's Baptist 57-37, while Limuru's Loreto girls beat Nyandarwa's Karima 71-53. In the boys hockey, defending champions Mangu beat Nyandarwa's Njambini 1-0, while Karima girls beat Limuru's Loreto School 1-0. All the winners will represent the region at the national set for Nakuru.
African record holder Ferdinand Omanyala finished second in the 100 meters race at the 2022 East of Berlin Athletics meeting in Germany after losing to American Noah Lyles by 0.17 seconds. Lyles sets a new 100 meters season best time of 9.95 seconds to win the race. British sprinter Jeremiah Azu finished third in 10.16 seconds. Omanyala, who had been targeting a sub-10, was disappointed after being beaten by the American, who is also a two-time world 200 meters champion. Ulinzi Sharks defeated Amazon 34-7 in the Kenya Handball Federation National Women's League match played at the Nyayo National Stadium. Ulinzi Sharks maintains their second position on the league standings with 10 points, 4 behind Nairobi Water, who top on 14 points.
Maintain their second position in Kenya Handball Federation League standings after beating Amazon 34-7 in a match played at the Nyayo National Stadium. Fresha Mukasia was the top scorer for Ulinzi Sharks after she netted 8 goals, as Sarah Wasike and Deborah Kirote contributed 5 and 6 goals respectively. Following the win, Ulinzi Sharks maintains their second position with 10 points behind Nairobi Waters, who top the standings with 14 points. In another match, NCPB won 28-23 against Net Navigators. Meanwhile, in the Men's National League, Inspired beat Boomerang 26-24, while Thika defeated Boomerang 38-22.
We've come to the end of Sunday Express on this day, but then we have Arsenal and we have Manchester United, and I'm told I have to read this before I close the bulletin. Manchester United and a thrilling 3-1 victory as Anthony scored on his debut and ended Arsenal's winning run this season with an intense game at Old Trafford. We've come to the end of the bulletin. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your reactions on our social media platforms. For more details on Just Aired News and many more, do log on to www.kbc.co.ke. My name is Irene Muchuma Odem. On sign language interpretation, we have Lensa Odinga. On behalf of the entire team, thank you for your time. Good night.